I never believed a single moment of embarrassment could hurt more than years of quiet disappointment. But that Thursday night proved me wrong. My name is Daniel, and I have been married to Claire for almost 8 years. From the outside, everything looked flawless. A beautiful home, a stable routine, what most people would call a perfect marriage. But that night, the illusion cracked in the most public and humiliating way possible. It began at Claire's work celebration, an event filled with coworkers, friends, and a few extended family members. I attended as her husband, expecting nothing more than a relaxed evening. Drinks, laughter, polite conversations, maybe a few speeches. From the moment we arrived, I sensed something was off. Claire's smile felt forced. She'd been distant all week, and I had brushed it off as stress or deadlines. I never imagined she had something planned that would leave me feeling exposed in front of everyone. As we reached the center of the room, she leaned in and whispered words I still hear clearly. "You're going to thank me for this later." I laughed awkwardly, assuming she was joking. But the look in her eyes told a different story. Then it started. At first, it was subtle. A comment framed as a correction, aimed at me in front of her colleagues. A casual jab about how I looked, how I dressed, the way I smiled. I forced a laugh, hoping it would pass. It didn't. The remarks sharpened. Each one landed harder than the last. People began to notice. Conversation stalled. The room grew quiet as attention shifted toward us. Claire laughed at her own words, sharp and triumphant, while I felt my dignity slipping away piece by piece. I stood there frozen, knowing that responding emotionally would only make things worse. Humiliation wrapped around me like a heavy coat I couldn't take off. I wanted to disappear, to sink into the floor and vanish. But something inside me resisted, and that resistance sparked a clarity I hadn't felt in years. If this story is resonating with you so far, take a moment to like and share it. Someone out there may need to hear this. The room felt smaller with every whisper and uneasy chuckle. Claire continued, clearly enjoying the attention, treating the moment like performance with me as the punchline. That's when I understood this wasn't about work, or jokes, or fun. This was about power, about control, about proving something to herself by tearing me down. I took a slow breath, counting silently. Years of quiet dismissal of subtle disrespect had prepared me for this moment more than I realized. I reminded myself she could embarrass me, mock me, even anger me. But she couldn't take away my truth. There was something she hadn't accounted for. Something I had built quietly over time while she was focused on appearances and dominance. I waited for the right pause, when her attention drifted toward a colleague laughing nearby, when her eyes weren't on me. Then I spoke, not angrily, not desperately, but with calm certainty, so steady it silenced the room faster than shouting ever could. "Claire," I said evenly, "there's something you don't know about me, something you never noticed because you were too busy making this about yourself." The room fell silent. People shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension, unsure whether to step in. Claire's laughter faded. Her confidence wavered. Comment below, what would you have done in my place? Your perspective could spark an important conversation. I saw her preparing a response, ready to regain control. But I didn't let her. Instead, I revealed the part of my life she had ignored. "I've been managing things you never saw." I continued, "while you were focused on appearances and tonight's low performance. I've been building stability, security, and independence. Things that don't depend on your approval." Her eyes widened slightly. For the first time that evening, she looked unsettled. I chose my words carefully, reclaiming the dignity she had tried to strip away. And because of that, I said, "I'm no longer vulnerable to your games. You can humiliate me publicly, but you can't control me anymore. Not my life, not my mind, and not my future." The reaction was immediate. Whispers, exchanged glances, stunned expressions. Claire tried to laugh it off, but uncertainty cracked through her expression. For the first time that night, the balance shifted. I paused, letting the moment settle, letting her realize that what she meant as dominance had completely backfired. There was a strange satisfaction, not from revenge, but from knowing I stayed grounded in my truth. Share your thoughts in the comments. How far would you go to reclaim your dignity in a situation like this? Claire's expression flickered between disbelief and anger as realization set in. The man she thought she could belittle had always been stronger than she assumed. The room stayed tense, silent. What she hoped would be my public downfall had turned into her miscalculation. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't rush. Calm carried more authority than anger ever could. I've been working quietly, I said, investing in myself, in my future. While you were focused on proving power tonight, I was building something real. You humiliated me publicly, but I never needed your validation. No one interrupted. A few colleagues shifted uncomfortably, realizing this wasn't a simple disagreement. This was someone reclaiming control in real time. Claire's confident posture faltered. I stepped closer, precise and deliberate. And now, I said, you're seeing the consequences of your choices. Public humiliation doesn't give you power. Real respect can't be demanded. It's earned. And tonight, you earn none. Her smirk vanished. The air felt thick. In that moment, I realized how long I'd waited for this clarity, how humiliation and betrayal had collided to create strength. She opened her mouth to respond. I raised my hand slightly, not aggressively, just enough to stop her. Before you say anything, I said, remember this, words can hurt, but actions define reality. Tonight, I choose mine carefully. A soft murmur passed through the crowd. Subtle nods from those who had watched silently for years. A few glances toward Claire held quiet judgment. If this story speaks to you, take a moment to comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories about real relationships, resilience, and personal strength. I let the silence do the work. Claire looked shaken. I didn't need to gloat. The power came from clarity, not revenge. Then I shared the final truth, the one she never saw coming. There's one more thing you overlooked, I said. While you were planning tonight, I accepted a position at a company I've worked toward for years. A role that gives me independence, security, and the freedom to choose who deserves access to my life. This wasn't posturing. This wasn't ego. This is about moving forward, I said, and you don't get to decide my peace anymore. A quiet gasp rippled through the room. People exchanged looks, some impressed, some stunned. Claire's face drained slightly as her control slipped further. I watched her without bitterness, just calm triumph. The kind that comes from reclaiming what was always yours. The humiliation she planned rebounded, not through rage, but through self-respect. A weight lifted from my shoulders. The truth, my truth, spoke louder than any mockery or public display ever could. As the whispers faded, replaced by quiet respect, Claire realized the room no longer supported her story.